Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Brownstone Worldwide. It's your girl, Paulette. I am the owner and founder of Brownstone Worldwide, which houses, of course, as you know, brownstoneworldwide.com. We have KCCR The Brownstone, our podcasting app, and also Brownstone Living magazine. You know what we're doing here today. We are doing another Lunch and Learn hour, and we have an amazing guest that you don't want to miss for Women's Month. This sister is doing it, and she's doing it big in the industry that she's in. And it's rare to hear stories like hers. But before we get started, a couple of things that we definitely want to do is we want to make sure that you are connected to us on Facebook. You can find us at Brownstone Worldwide and also our store, which is brownstonemarketplace.com. And you also have, of course, our Brownstone Corner Store deals page on Facebook, where you can get all of the things and all of the deals, including discount codes, specifically for the Brownstone community. Well, you know what we're here for. We want to go ahead and get started. This beautiful sister is a part of a community that we don't hear enough about Black and brown women being in this space. So Miss Charia Artis is with us today to talk about women in tech and how you did it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show today. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, Charia, I want to jump right into it. Here's one of the things that I need people to hear from you. What do you do? What is your official job title?
My official title is Junior Software Engineer. So I'm basically a coder and a database administrator.
Okay. All right. So you are in a space that, unfortunately, for as long as I can remember, we don't hear enough about us being in that. Now, we talked a little bit previously before we started the broadcast, and I explained to you that I in my previous life I was a senior systems engineer, and there might have been 5 certified women in my department, one of which was me. So you didn't find a lot of DBAs. You didn't find a lot of people that understood relational data. You didn't find a lot of us then. And y'all, this was in the 90s. Okay. So I'm showing my age a little bit.
Right.
So is that true today? Is that true today?
We're a growing number in the community. Definitely need more Black women in tech, women in general in tech. Yeah. There's a big push to have more people of color and women in the industry.
Okay. So the question that I have for you then is, what made you decide that that was something that you wanted to get into? Was it the money? Was it what caused that?
I actually started out wanting to be an attorney, and I got through 3.5 years of undergrad and figured out that the job that I actually enjoyed doing would have been paralegal. And I wasn't willing to really take that step down to do what I loved, or to really risk my whole financial future on a job that maybe I think at the time they said 1 out of 100 people were actually successful attorneys. So the other 99 people went on to even though they had law degrees, they went to other professions. They went to teaching, they went to completely other industries. So I figured it was at that point, I really had to reevaluate what I was doing and figure out what I wanted to do from there out. Okay. So I met someone who was actually working as a programmer at a major company. And they told me, well, here's a language that's easier to learn if you don't know anything about programming. Here's one of the books I'm not using. And here is how to get the software to be able to do that. And so I sat down and self-taught for a little bit to figure out if I wanted to do it. And I was very interested in it. So
Okay.
I found a way to go to school.
Okay.
And that was a journey too. So
Okay.
um,
Tell us about it.
I started out going to Ivy Tech, which is one of the, now they're an actual university here. But at the time they were a tech school. And I got a little bit through there and money ran out.
Mm.
So I started working a little bit more and going to school a little less. And I couldn't afford to go. So
Mm.
time passed, factory jobs, different jobs I worked. I tried to go to University of Phoenix,
Okay.
and I got halfway through there. And that was when they cut funds to for-profit schools. So
Wow.
where, yes, where everything was paid for, full ride, it ended up once again no money.
Wow.
So
Wow.
um I went to work for a carrier corporation,
Yeah.
and they paid for school up front instead of a reimbursement. And I got through part of that, and the company went to Mexico. So that was another shutdown.
Oh my
And
God.
so I was working at a factory in Fort Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
and I came across a tech school that allowed people to go to school now and
Mm-hmm.
then signed an income share agreement, which means a certain percentage of your income goes to paying them back a
Mm-hmm.
certain sum.
Mm-hmm.
And so I signed that agreement
Mm-hmm.
and got through that tech school.
Okay.
And that was the first time I was able to finish school at all,
Oh, nice.
and got a front end and a back end certificate to be a full stack developer. Well,
Nice.
the first company I applied for um, was a company that it was a startup, but it was through a person who had several startups under their name. So I felt
Mm-hmm.
a little better about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get that position because someone just a little bit more qualified than me. I
Okay.
was second in line. They actually
Mm-hmm.
told the recruiters at our school that I was second in line for that job. It's just somebody had a little bit more. And that was the story for a little while. So probably about 9 months later, I went to 1150 Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And 1150 Academy is a not-for-profit.
Got it.
And the gentleman actually started the school in his living room. And that's why it's called 1150, because he was living at 1150 North Keystone, I believe.
Wow.
And so he named it after his address. And the school moved to downtown Indianapolis
Okay.
and also had an online portion.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
this was during the pandemic. So I was laid off from my job anyway.
Okay.
And through a program that they had here in Indiana,
Mm-hmm.
people who wanted to go to tech schools in Indiana and fit certain criteria, you could go for free.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's a not for profit, you qualify for federal assistance going to that school, where for profit tech schools, you do not. So
Got
I
it.
got to go there for free.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
so when I graduated there,
Mm-hmm.
I actually applied to this job probably a few months before I went to that school. And I was second again. And they
Mm-hmm.
actually told the school before, they said, look, we are going to try to find her a position because we really enjoy her. It's just this person has a little bit more experience for the job we have open right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can shuffle some things around budget wise, we're going to find her something.
Wow.
So with that, that's when I went to 1150 Academy. So
Mm-hmm.
1150 they had a little bit more SQL training than what the previous school did, which is
Mm-hmm.
a portion of what they wanted me to know. And then this school went through .NET training. So that was something else that I was lacking. So as I went to that school, when I got into the school, I had the contact information on LinkedIn to the manager that was looking at hiring me before. So I made sure I stayed in his eye. I told him, I said, look, I heard what you said about I was missing a little more SQL experience. I was missing .NET experience. And I just want you to know I enrolled in this school that I'm able to go through this program. And that's exactly what they're teaching.
Yeah.
So he was like, great, that's awesome. I'm so glad that you're doing this. And it'll be so valuable no matter what happens.
Right.
And so all through that 3-month course, every time we did a project, I posted it to LinkedIn and I tagged him. I sent him the link to my GitHub repo in his DMs so he could look at the code I was writing.
Right.
And every time I had a major accomplishment in that class, I shared it with him.
Okay.
And so time went on, and I admit I got a little discouraged. I was applying to other jobs, but I kept checking in saying, look, your company is actually my dream type of job. From all of the things that you tell me are available to people there, as far as benefits, as far as the work life, as far as just meeting all of the team. And I just want you to know that you are still my top pick if something comes available.
Wow.
And so I would just say that every once in a while I would check in and ask him how he was doing. And I wouldn't even mention the job. I just ask him how he's doing and let him know what I was up to and things like that. And when it came around to March of last year, they had an opening in the department I'm in now, actually the job I'm still in.
Wow.
And he reached out to me and said, please apply through this link because we have an opening and we still have to go through the regular process of screening people. But it's a different team, but I'm sure they'll love you. And when we have your interview, just be the same person you were.
Right.
Because the team before just really loved you, but they needed a little bit more because of the responsibilities.
Got it.
So I applied, and my interview was on the last day of their interviews due to work issues. And when I got done with the interview, they told him in front of me, we want her. And he was like, well, we still have 2 more interviews to go through. And he told me before that the next day HR would let me know one way or another, because one thing people don't realize is applying to tech jobs is a very discouraging process if you do not have it in you, because a lot of places will not even tell you that you did not get the job. They will not contact you unless they're giving you the job. So you're just waiting, and you're applying to more places and you're waiting. And there's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of places that are lengthy processes. It's not like when you walk into maybe a retail store and get a job, and within a week they tell you it's 2, 3, 4. Some places I had 7 interviews to be put into their pool of possible people.
So here's a question for you, because I'm hearing a lot of things, and for those of you all who are watching this or you're listening on KCCR the Brownstone, listen, Charia, you've brought up a lot of different points, and I had to let you get it out because I'm over here mentally taking notes. And what I'm hearing you say is this wasn't an overnight process for you.
No.
Right? you ended up doing things like going back to school, taking a warehouse job if you needed to make the ends meet until you could get back into school. And then it was, okay, so let's find another way to get an opportunity. And then when you found out that you weren't getting the opportunities that you wanted, you were very tenacious and you found a company that you liked and you kept in touch with the hiring manager and let him know that you were getting the skills that were necessary to do the job. When I tell you that takes tenacity and that takes drive, that is crazy. Because let me tell you what I would do. I'd be like, oh, I didn't get the job. Oh, all right. Who is next on my list? Let me go ahead and cross. You didn't do that. You kept right on going. I love that. And the other thing that I haven't heard you talk about, and I think it may have something to do with this. When I was in the industry, and this is not about me, but I can only attest or talk about the experience that I had to walk on eggshells. I was one of the first in my company. Actually, I was the first Black woman to become PMP certified. And this was in 1999, y'all. I was the only Black woman. And my entire team were white men, early to mid 30s. And there was another young white girl on the team. She had just graduated from college. And so I was one of the very few that was there. And just like you, I was learning SQL and .NET and Toad and JavaScript and all the things, you know what I mean? And so it was kind of like, okay, I had to learn how to walk a fine line back then because we were physically, there was no COVID, there was none of that. It was, if the office opened at 7:30, which it did, I had to make sure that I was there at 6:45. Okay. Sitting at my desk. And the reason why was because I was the only Black woman that worked there. I was the only African American, period, at that time. And I want to ask this question because it was something that was ingrained in me as a young girl growing up. My parents used to always tell me, you are going to have to work as twice as hard for the same amount of recognition and probably less pay. Do you find yourself in this situation today? And do you attribute that to possibly working in a virtual environment? Because we haven't even touched on that.
I feel the company I work for, that I don't have to work twice as hard.
Okay.
I could see that at some of the other places I applied. And I think that's why I was so ready to let them go.
Yeah.
I didn't get a good feeling during the interview process. I felt like it was just another place where I'd have to keep being 2 steps behind somebody. Yeah. And this place is just, they go out of their way to make sure you feel like you're appreciated. They go out of their way to have a work-life balance. We work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Boom.
And then my department, we go on call every 8 to 10 weeks, depending on people are on vacation, things like that. And the on-call is just in case there's a system down information.
Right.
It'll call you. And then if you're not equipped to handle the situation, then you can get a hold of somebody. But it's so that there's somebody there to say, okay, is this actually a system down information or situation? Or is this someone thinks it is, but it's really something that can wait till tomorrow?
Right.
Or, you know, so, and it rarely happens. So, they even compensate us for it. So for being on call 1 week every 2 months, they pay up to $75 of our phone bill.
Okay.
So, you know, you're getting compensated. And then if you actually get a call during off normal hours, outside normal business hours, then you can take that time out of your regular work hours. So you're only doing 40 hours a week.
Okay.
You're not doing extra. And with working virtually, you're your own boss. So they don't micromanage us. They basically, like I told them today, I have an interview with with this lady named Paulette from Brownstone Worldwide, and I explained to them what you did. And
Okay.
I said, so I'll be offline maybe an hour or two. And they were like,
Yeah.
okay.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not like people think where I actually did work for AT&T, their customer support before I did this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like a call center job where you're
No.
constantly logged in and
Mm-hmm.
somebody's on the flip side clocking
Mm-hmm.
hours and things like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
if you need to take a break, take a break. If you're
Yeah.
frustrated and something isn't going your way, get up, take a walk, and come back.
Yeah.
You know, go do something fun for a minute and then come back so that you're not frustrated. They actually have you have regular meetings with your boss to just
Mm-hmm.
talk about you, what you're up to, if anything's bothering you with the job that you need remedied. Like
Yeah.
they have surveys twice a year that are anonymous for people to
Mm.
raise concerns
Mm-hmm.
and to report how they feel the job overall is going. It's like a
Yeah.
long questionnaire so they
Right.
can get a gauge on, do you feel like you're not getting what you need out of this job? What do you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you need? They even have ongoing education. I'm actually enrolled in a AWS cloud practitioner class. That's
Love
not
it.
part of my regular job, but
Yeah.
since so many people were interested in it,
Yeah.
and we are a technology company,
Mm-hmm.
everybody that's interested in it was able to take it for free.
I
And
love
they're
that.
paying for the certification for free.
Yeah. I love that. And so, to our audience who's listening, a couple of things that I definitely wanted to make sure that we cover, because it sounds like to me you have found a company that is interested in you as a person and not a number. And
Right.
that's rare, right?
Mhm.
Very rare. And it sounds as if they are in tune or want to remain in tune to how you all are feeling so that they can make your work experience a better one.
Yes.
So, working from home, I want to tap on that in just a bit, but I wanted to make sure that a couple of things that we cover, because I've been taking notes. Okay. Um, so I am uh, an African American woman. I'm a Black and brown individual, and I want to get into coding. Where do I start?
You can find a coding boot camp or you can go to college. I personally um, recommend coding boot camps if you're somebody that has high concentration level. It takes a lot of work to get
Mm-hmm.
through a coding boot camp. They're anywhere from 3 months to a year long to
Mm.
learn something that you're going to do every day,
Yeah.
you know, as your profession.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is more of a career and not a job.
Gotcha.
So you're on a career path.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the company I work for, you actually sit down at the beginning and each year and you set goals. And
Right.
they actually have company overall goals and then you set personal goals.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to know, what do you want to do in the company? You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to, I don't even have to stay in the job I'm in. I just like
Right.
it because
Right.
of the freedom it gives me. And
Mm-hmm.
plus, I have time to learn other people's jobs, like what
Yeah.
they do.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were talking about the DEI classes, there's
Yeah.
also ongoing, they call them, what are they called? Fireside chats.
Okay.
So we have fireside chat once or twice a month,
Mm-hmm.
and it's during work time.
Mm-hmm.
So we go, and it's just a safe space for everybody to talk about, you know, is there a burning issue that you want to talk about that's either socially or at work that you feel like you need to vent or you need an audience for advice or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And they
Mm-hmm.
have actual professionals in the industry that come in and
Mm-hmm.
talk to us that are
That's
outside of the
awesome.
company that
That's
come
awesome.
to us. So it's just like an overall experience at this company. I've never worked anywhere like this before where
Mm-hmm.
they take such an interest in everybody feeling like they belong. They even ask us on a regular basis, do you feel alienated by working at home? They want
Wow.
to know if they need to provide you with more resources to get in tune with other people in the
Mhm. I
company.
love that. I love that. So let's
Yeah.
talk about working from home, because I think people got it twisted about what working from home is. So now you're saying go to a coding boot camp or you can go to college. Coding boot camp is probably best because it's a shorter program and you can get into the industry quicker that way. But let's
Right.
talk about working from home because it seems to be the norm. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
One of the things that I have always enjoyed about working from home is the fact that it does provide me with flexibility. So let's talk about that. When you're talking about working from home, tell our audience what are some of the things that they definitely need to make sure that they have tight in the work from home game before they even make a decision to step fully into it.
You'll need to know if the place you're working for provides a computer or
Mhm.
if you have to have your own. Most places
Mhm.
provide one because of privacy and
Yeah.
security reasons.
Mhm.
You have to make sure you have good internet connection.
Mhm.
Some people don't realize how bad their internet connection is
Mm.
until a company has them do a ping and they find
Yes.
out that it's way too slow.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, some places require you to have a dedicated line from your modem versus Wi-Fi. I can have either or, but
Right.
I know when I worked for AT&T, you did not have flexibility. You
Mm.
be at your location during
Mhm.
hours. You could not take your computer somewhere else.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and you had to be hardwired into your modem. You couldn't do Wi-Fi at all.
Right. Right.
So there was like a whole login process.
Mhm.
You really have to be a self-starter and you have to be able to manage your time
Yeah.
because if you're not working, like customer service or something like that, with coding, most virtual jobs, you are not going to be micromanaged. So you have to be able to get your projects, your job done on your own,
Yeah.
and sometimes I ask my boss if there's anything else I can do because sometimes there's nothing. And
Mhm.
instead of taking advantage and just not doing anything during that work time, I'll ask for other things to do. And some people, they might think that's crazy, but
Mhm.
I've actually gotten a lot of recognitions. I haven't even been there a year yet,
Yeah.
and in my first 6 months, I had 10 recognitions for
Mhm.
my curiosity
Mhm.
and just overall team player. They have, this is another benefit they have. So they have what's called the Thanks program that they worked an integration for. And with the Achievers Thanks program, if somebody wants to reward you for what they feel like you've done above and beyond, they can
Mhm.
write a thank you to you in there. And each person can do two thanks a month.
Mhm. A month. Okay.
So each thanks is 500 points.
Mhm.
Well, I use mine to buy Bigo cards or for gift cards for Amazon or something
Uh-huh.
like that. But they have a store in there where you can buy gift cards or you can buy merchandise.
Yeah.
Um, and you just build up your points and you can use them for that. So it's not like you're just writing a thank you and nothing's happening. You
Mhm.
write a thank you, and then that person gets points for
Mhm.
you thanking them and they can go buy something with it. So
It's
it's
pretty
just
cool.
another way to say thank you for being a good employee and thank you
Yeah.
for doing,
Right.
you've touched other people in your job. I've had actually, because people can boost it also.
Mhm.
So I've actually had people that I didn't even know were watching the job that I do,
Mhm.
um, in customer support and other departments say, oh yeah, and they'll boost somebody else's thank you and say,
Okay.
yes, I
Okay.
appreciate work on this
Yeah.
because we did this and this and that, and I didn't
Mhm.
even know that person existed
Mhm.
until
Mhm.
So that was
I
pretty.
love this. I love this. So what we've learned today so far, Miss Sharia, is we've learned that being a self-starter is what you definitely have to have working from home.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing is learning how to manage your time. That's huge, right? Because a lot of people think that when you're working from home that you can be washing clothes and you can fry chicken over here in the kitchen and you can do something else over here, maybe take the kids out for a spin if you have, kids who are still at home. And what I'm hearing you say is you still have to toe the line and really work. Because if you're asking for additional work and you're working from home, if you're saying that you're getting this recognition and all of this other stuff, you have learned how to work from home where it is productive for you in a sense where you feel connected to your community at work, and then also still have a good enough work-life balance where you're able to have a life outside of what you're doing. Because like you said, you're virtual, and the kind of work that you do, you're not dedicated to a phone line, so you're able to kind of manipulate your locations and where you're able to work because of the type of work that you do. And the other thing that I heard you say was that you have a team of folks and your leadership that does not micromanage you. Now, would you say that that is really important as well? Is that if people are trusting you to get the job done and you're able to get it done, does that first of all give you a sense of relief? And does it also allow you to say, you know what, this really is a great company. This is someplace I want to stick around for a while.
Right. Uh, just because, unlike a lot of people that work for different companies like this that went straight into tech and never worked anywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
when you've worked places that micromanage you, you
Oh,
really
yeah.
appreciate the freedom to get the work done as you see fit.
Yep.
I mean, the good thing is, like, basically what I am is a liaison between customer support and the developers.
Mm-hmm.
So customer support will put in a ticket. I'll look at the ticket, see if I can solve it myself. If I
Mm-hmm.
don't have permissions in the certain areas, or if it requires a more advanced answer, then I take it to the developers and say, hey, this is what I learned. This is what research I've done to figure out where this problem actually is and what the real underlying problem is, and then they fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really important job because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the tickets are minor things that either fix themselves,
Yeah.
or maybe they already have a fix in the works. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take time away from the people that all they do is code to stop and see what this issue is that may
Mm-hmm.
not even be an issue. It may
Mm-hmm.
just be something that's um maybe the user is going through and clicking certain keys
Yeah.
and that's causing their problem.
Right.
So
Okay.
because within our software we actually have a recorder, so
Mm-hmm.
it'll screen record when you're inside the software, but
Yeah.
only inside the software.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're clicking, we can see everything you click. So
Yeah.
if you're clicking wrong, or maybe your computer had a blip and
Mm-hmm.
fell off the network, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
you were away from your computer too long and it logged you out and you didn't realize it, I can see all that in
Yeah.
the session
Mm-hmm.
and not bother these people that are they're also the people that are putting in enhancements when
Yeah.
we're adding different things in. So
Mm-hmm.
it's less of a stressor on them
Mm-hmm.
to have me in the middle. So
Right. I
yeah,
love that.
that's really nice. So
And
I like
so
my job, and
I can
you know,
tell.
they go through and they ask you at your evaluations, do you want to do something different? Do
Yeah.
you want to learn a different job? And basically I told my boss, I'd like to stay in the position I'm in, but
Mm-hmm.
I would like to learn a little more of the software part of the coding part,
Mm-hmm.
so that when things come up,
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe I can help people when I'm free to
Yeah.
do their job
Right.
and to go a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
But everything's about access. People have
Mm-hmm.
different accesses and things like that. So I have so much access. I can do things in the database. I write a lot of SQL. to put
Mm-hmm.
different things. We have so many tables in our database. It's crazy.
Right.
Um, I I'll be there a year on April 18th. So
Okay.
I'm coming up on my year.
Mm-hmm.
But even today, there's no way for me to really know just offhand if I've never dealt with a certain issue before to be
Mm-hmm.
able to say, oh, I know it's in this table.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tables are intertwined, and I have to ask questions, and they
Yeah.
don't mind. They actually love it that I ask them questions in between. If I see them discussing a certain problem they ran into on their own,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll chime in and say, did you try this or try that?
Yeah.
And it be something that nobody else is really
Mm-hmm.
thinking about.
Okay.
So they always appreciate input.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's right or wrong, it might just be another perspective to think
Of
about.
course, absolutely. So here's the question then for you, because okay, so first of all, pause. When you are talking about tables, because see, people think you're talking about tables. You're not talking about
Right,
tables,
right,
right? Not the ones
right,
that I have my software. I mean, I'm sorry, my hardware on. We are talking about inside of a database. And
right.
inside of databases, there are tables where there is data that is housed and stored for each portion of the database to run. And sometimes these tables have to talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It could be non relational or relational, but that's where the data is stored. And that is where the back end of any piece of software really is. And there are people that are paid to actually make it look good. So folks that just want to enter the data can just enter the data into a WYSIWYG or a GUI. And so what that means, WYSIWYG, let pause. What you see is what you get, and GUI is graphical user interface. Forgive
Right,
forgive us,
right,
okay? So, for the tech nerds in the building, we know what it is, but I wanted to make sure that we were clarifying that for the people who don't understand, where does all my data go when I put it? Where does all my
right,
information go? It goes to a table, okay? And if there's something wrong with anything that you're entering, or if you're trying to create something, always look at what you've entered in as maybe a title or something like that. And if that's off, it's not going to go where it needs to go. So those are tables. Just wanted to clarify, because they like, how many tables she work with?
right. A table is basically a collection of information,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the information in the table is relative to whatever that table is. So
Mm-hmm.
we might have a customer table, and the customer table would contain the name of the business, their address, their phone number, and all of their general information.
Mm-hmm.
And then inside of that, there are tables that branch off from that might be their customers,
Mm-hmm.
which would be the patients. The
Yep.
patient is their customer. So going through, that's the patient's name, their weight, their height,
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah.
So the different tables have to talk. So when you're looking for Fluffy, you have to know which Fluffy and from
Right.
what clinic.
Yeah.
So you're looking for this Fluffy in that clinic, and what's all Fluffy's information, and
Mm-hmm.
what tests has Fluffy had, and each of the tests is going to be in a different table.
Yeah.
But that table talks to the table that Fluffy's in, to
Mm-hmm.
tell you these are Fluffy's tests, and
Mm-hmm.
these pictures go to Fluffy's record. And
Right.
we have so many intertwined tables because there is so much that goes into medical data
Mm-hmm.
that you want to have it as simple as possible. Each
Yeah.
table should be simple so that you know, okay, this information is just about patient data. This
Mm-hmm.
one is just about tests. This
Yeah.
one is just about
There you
who
go. Yep.
their veterinarian is,
Mm-hmm.
what clinic they work for.
Right.
And so it seems like a very simple concept
Mm-hmm.
to say, oh, I go to Dr. So and so's office and have this veterinarian. I take my dog there, and these are all
Mhm.
the tests.
Yeah.
But in the back end of things, it's a very complex network of different pieces of information,
Oh yeah.
knowing that this one belongs to this one, belongs to this one. So
To that
uh,
one.
that's
Absolutely.
basically what we do. We house
That's
that
awesome.
information. We house the images, like the CAT scans and the
Mhm.
MRIs and things like that. We have
Mhm.
we house all of the patient data and the clinic
Mhm.
data. So even the clinics that don't use our specialists to read the information, there are
Mhm.
some that just use us to store the information. So
Mhm.
um, and the company also, on one of the other legs of the company, makes actual devices. So
Mm.
there's a wide range of things that go on um, as far as the company. So you're able to get into different aspects of veterinary medicine, whether you want to
Mhm.
code, whether you want to be customer service, you want to be a veterinarian, you
Mhm.
want to be a manager, do you want to
Yeah.
be, what do you want to be? That's part
Right.
of a whole career path.
I
We
love that.
make career paths every year. Every
Mhm.
year they sit down and ask you, what do you want to look at doing this year? What
Mhm.
do you want to look at doing this quarter?
Mhm.
And I actually changed mine, and it's perfectly fine to change it, because at first I wanted to be, hardcore full-time developer. But
Mhm.
I got to love this part of the job because, one, I have freedom. Um,
Mhm.
more freedom than I think I would have as a regular developer.
Okay.
And the other part of it is I get to learn a lot of the different parts that
Right.
work together. My department is just one part. We're the telemedicine part.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we deal with a lot of the veterinarians and specialists that call in to
Mhm.
get help with things.
Okay.
So there's telemedicine, there's diagnostic imaging, there's cardiopet, which cardiopet is a device that they use instead of actually putting your pet on an EKG big machine.
Mhm.
There are
Mhm.
portable devices that the vet can use to get an EKG.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we deal with those type of devices.
Mhm.
We deal with all the aspects of veterinary medicine.
I love
So
that. So here's the other question, and thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying what the tables are, because folks, honey, if you are not in this industry, if you're not from it, if you didn't have a past in it, they're gonna be looking at you like you're crazy.
right.
So, so we talked about working from home, being a self-starter, managing your time, deciding what you want to do. And it sounds like you found the place for you, which is amazing, because I think in this and then I want to definitely talk about BIGO. But one of the things that I'm hearing you say is you like working as a virtual employee, because here, and this is why I wanted to bring this up here, because we hear so much about being an entrepreneur. Girl, you got to go get that bag, open up your own store, do this and do that. It sounds to me, for now, because of course change is the only constant, right? It sounds to me for now that you are all right where you are, as you are learning and developing and growing into the woman that you know that you can be. And it sounds like the company that you're working for currently has allowed you to do that. Is that
Right.
what I'm hearing?
It is.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
get a lot of flack from entrepreneurs about not going and starting my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not for everybody. If everybody had their own business, there would be nobody to do the work. So I like that I work for a company that does something meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just making convenience devices. We're actually changing people's lives through their
Okay.
pet
Mm-hmm.
and changing each other's lives. I often forget all the benefits that we have because there's so many. Um,
Wow.
there there's also, if you're familiar with the Noom app, where
Yeah,
it's a weight
absolutely.
loss app, for
Mm-hmm.
those who don't know. We actually have our own company-wide app for fitness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then off of that app, we get Noom for free.
Nice.
So they give us a free fitness tracker. And as you complete challenges in the app, you can get different rewards for that also.
Mm-hmm.
Different
Mm-hmm.
devices. You build up points and get devices.
Okay.
We have also the people that work actually at the facilities,
Mm-hmm.
they get food truck days. Well,
Nice.
to make us not feel alienated, we can charge up to $25 to the company account and have food deliver, go get food in our area
Are you
of
kidding
our
me?
choice. So we're still getting the
Yeah.
benefit of
Okay.
being at the office without being at the office.
I love it. I love that. That
Yeah.
is really, really cool. So let's and thank you for that, because again, before we wrap up here, one of the things that I definitely wanted to make sure that we clarify to people through Women's Month and so forth is the power that you took, the energy and the time that you took, number one, to change your life and seeing the benefits of that because you stayed focused on what you wanted to do. And then the other thing is working from home ain't for everybody. It's
No,
not. It's
it's
not.
not.
And being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. That's what I just heard you say.
Exactly.
um it's not. And everybody doesn't have the focus, the wherewithal, or the strength for those months that the money is not consistent like a regular paycheck. And what do you do when that happens? And some people just don't have it. Now let's talk about the social media platform that a lot of people still aren't talking about.
Right.
Because it blows my mind. So we know Facebook, we know, because we still talking about tech. So we're talking Facebook, we talking or Meta, we're talking social, what is it, Instagram, TikTok, and there's so many others that are out there, but there's a big one that is not being talked about as much, and that is where you and I actually connected for the first time, and it is an app called Bigo. So tell me, how did you get started on Bigo?
I actually, which this is a whole other topic. Before I got to Bigo, I was an influencer on TikTok. And I actually I actually
Okay, wait, okay. I'm here for it. Let's go. You
okay,
were an influencer on TikTok.
yes. And so there was a friend of mine on Facebook that she has her own hair company where
Mhm,
she sells wigs, she sells hair growth oil, things like that.
mhm.
And we actually met in a drop shipping group. So I was drop shipping at the time, but it just wasn't for me.
Right.
It's for some people, it wasn't for me.
Mhm.
And so we just kind of checked in on each other off and on. And then her sister, who was a stay-at-home mom, she started building her brand on being a social media marketing manager. So
Mhm.
she came up with a program for teaching people how to become an influencer from zero to hero. So
Mm,
me only being on Facebook at the time and not really totally into the whole other platforms and things like
mhm,
that, I told her, well, I believe in you. So
mhm,
her program at the time was only $15. So I'm like, I
mhm.
can spend $15 for,
Okay.
you spend it so quickly on other things. So
Yeah.
I bought her program, went through her course, and within 2 weeks of not having a TikTok at all, I went to monetized as far as getting brand deals to promote on TikTok.
Get out of here.
So definitely a success story for her.
Okay.
I didn't even know how
Nice.
TikTok worked when I did it. So
Wow.
I was going through some of the platforms that she gives people starting out. They're color coded. There's easy, little harder, a little harder, a little harder. And so I was going through some of the easy ones and applying to brand deals, and came across an ad for one of the agencies on Bigo. So agencies basically find talent to live stream on Bigo, and Bigo pays the agency based on the performance of the host, which is the live streamer, and the host gets paid by the agency in TikTok. So, or I'm sorry, in Bigo. So I ended up leaving TikTok and actually foregoing my whole influencer deal because I went so I went to making so much money on Bigo. So
really,
yes, I
y'all
just
heard it first.
at the end of October, and I just finished my second month of making $1,440 for the month. It would have been more last month, but I took the money off for myself for a trip I'm going on with my friend who's the model to her festival. So yeah, another $1,440 month, and this month will probably be a $2,000 or more a month with the plan that's in place. So basically social networking, live streaming, and we basically I'm going to start doing actual structured content, but I basically so far the last few months have just been going through and making friends and hanging out. Really haven't been having any type of story, any type of structured content. But I'm ready to start making the higher tiers. You can make up to $30,000 a month in Bigo Pay.
Insanity. And I have met people that have done it. Yeah, you are correct. Insanity. That's all I have. If you can make 30,000, and we're not here to promote Bigo, but I would so we're gonna stop there. But for anyone that is interested, we would definitely encourage you to head over there and see for yourself. I go over there to network. And to tell people about the Brownstone and what we're doing over here. But to be able to generate an additional stream of income for yourself as an influencer. So now you're my second influencer. But on top of that, you have a regular career and you're a Black woman in a space where there are not a lot of people like us. And so I applaud you, Charia, for what you have done, for your drive and your tenacity to be where you are. And I hate it, but we have to wrap.
Right.
We continue to go, right? But yeah, we have a lot of other things that we're going to be sharing. And you guys, if you want to follow Miss Charia, you can follow her on all things social media minus TikTok, uniquely_Charia, and without the underscore on TikTok. So I am definitely going to be following you so I can check you out and see what else you got going on, ma'am, because this has been an amazing story of someone who has decided that, you know what, it's okay for me to not to want to work as an entrepreneur. I'm going to go get the bag over here. And if I want to do something on the side, I'm going to do that too. And we're going to be all right. Is that what I heard today?
It is.
Okay. Okay. Very good. All right, you guys. One last thing before we wrap is we definitely want to let you guys know that we have a couple of things that are coming down the pipe this month. The release of Brownstone Living magazine actually happened on March 5th. Right. That was last week, Sunday. So if you didn't get an opportunity to get your issue, you can still get your issue by heading over to, are you ready? bit.ly/one issue of Brownstone Living. This particular magazine is only $5.99 for the one issue, or you can actually go over to brownstoneworldwide.com and you can go to subscribe, and you'll be able to actually purchase either a year, 2 year, or 3 years of Brownstone Living magazine. There you go. Yeah, I'm the first lady of Brownstone Living, or Brownstone Worldwide. And yes, you read that right. Yeah, so I worked hard for that PhD, y'all. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Okay. All right. So, Miss Charia, do you have any parting words of advice for those of us that want to get into the coding industry?
Find a school that's right for you, and no matter what, don't get discouraged. Reach out if you need help.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, once again, we want to thank you for joining us for another edition of our Lunch and Learn Hour. We do appreciate you for hanging out with us. Go ahead and head over to brownstoneworldwide.com, and you will be able to join our newsletter list. That means you got to register and give us your email. You can head over to kccrthebrownstone.com, and you can listen in to the Hot Lunch Mix, which happens at 12 noon, and that happens right after this particular show. So you're listening to us on KCCR right now. Just keep listening, and you'll get the Hot Lunch Mix after that. And then, of course, we have all of our air personalities that are part of the fold. So joining that newsletter will let you know exactly what and who is coming up next for the week. And of course, you can check us out on Brownstone Marketplace, but check us out all over the place. We're everywhere and nowhere in between. So once again, Miss Charia Artis, I want to thank you for coming into the Brownstone, hanging out with us and giving us the tea on coding and learning how to appreciate just being an employee and taking in all of the perks, because ain't nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys. Yes, I do appreciate you once again. 3 things that I always like to lead out with. 1, love your life. It is the only one that you have. 2, live your life to the fullest and embrace everything that is your life, because you only get one you. And lastly, breathe through every single moment. We'll see you on the next edition of the Lunch and Learn Hour with me, your girl Paulette. We'll see you next time.